Mr. Raccomando?
Present.
Mrs. Borelli?
Present.
Mr. Buffy? Mr. Havison? Mr. Quinn?
Here.
Ms. Sanchez? Mrs. Scanepaco? Mrs. Otterelli?
Here.
Mr. Gehrig?
Present. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I want to take this off.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been sent to all members of the Board of Education and to the Bergen Record in accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, 1975. The purpose of this meeting is for the board to adopt the 2015-16 preliminary budget. Our motion is to approve the preliminary budget for the 2015-2016 school year as detailed below. Be it resolved that the Saddlebrook Board of Education, County of Bergen, approved the preliminary 2015-2016 school year budget as follows. All in favor?
Aye.
Roll call.
Yeah, it should be discussion. You go to the budget, please.
We'll do a discussion.
Yeah, I'll just give a few highlights. Tonight's obviously the preliminary budget and not our final budget adoption. First, this is just the approval to send it to the county office, who then will approve the budget. Typically what they'll do is they go through a review, they come back, they do ask us questions sometimes about different appropriations, maybe some changes, some line items that have significant changes to them. And then once they send us their approval, then we have our formal hearing, which will be at the end of April. We're going to choose a date tonight for when that'll be. And then that'll be the more formal, longer presentation, going through everything as a public hearing. We'll have some people out for that presentation, but again, since we're on video now, we'll be able to do it at home as well. But just for tonight, I can give a few highlights of things that are in this budget. Typically, we always say we start our budget process in November, collecting requests from our administrative team, but I really think this budget started last year. As we created our new vision. This is really just a continuation of what we laid out a year ago. We did have a lot of challenges in this budget, the biggest one being that last year we took about $850,000 of one-time revenues, knowing they were one-time revenues, so we had to make that up. And our plan when we did that last year was, if this school year moving forward, we were creating programs that would help us be more efficient, more effective, and looking at the ways we're spending even outside of educational programs, that we'd be able to do that. And this budget accomplished exactly what we thought. We saved in a lot of ways, and we're able to balance despite those one-time revenues. We did have some challenges in addition to that. Our medical benefits are an 11% increase. Our prescription benefits are projected at about a 35% increase. So those are some significant costs. And we're anticipating a pretty significant increase in electricity costs. Part of that being that we now have air conditioners in all of our cafeterias. And so while it's certainly a comfort to the school environment, there is a cost that's associated with that. But despite all that, we have a balanced budget to present tonight. The impact on the taxpayer, the estimated impact on the taxpayer, and that's based on flat ratables, so we don't have the exact ratables back yet, but we calculated this assuming they stay the same. The increase would be $35 for every $100,000 in assessed value. By the time we have our public hearing, we'll be able to give them the exact number if that changed or not. Right now, that's what it's estimated. For every $100,000 of assessed value, the increase is $35. So, when I talk about continuing the vision, I'm just going to give a rundown, and there's a lot. There's a lot of educational initiatives in this budget. And it continues, again, with all of the different areas at all of our levels, pre-K up through the high school, regular ed, special ed, and so on. It really continues to make the improvements that we need in order to best serve all of our students. So we have two new programs in special education, a primary grade autistic program behavioral disabilities class at the high school. We've talked a lot in CUSAC, the CUSAC process about our curriculum and the need for curriculum updates. So we have money allocated to rewrite, and we'll go over these in more specificity later, but to rewrite a number of curricular areas. We're adding our third elementary guidance counselor, which is what we discussed last year, so that each school will have its own counselor. We're continuing to expand the Chromebooks in each of our schools. Every school will get one more cart in addition to the cart that they got this year, and that's something we hope to do continually each year. Our photo lab here, which serves students in some of our most popular electives, will have all new matching computers, which we do not have right now. Our assessment committee has been working on choosing some type of online progress monitoring program, so there's a purchase for that. As we continue with our primary literacy, in grade 3 we'll be adopting DRA, and grade 4 the IRA, which are reading assessments. As I'm talking about some of these things, I can tell you that whether it applies to Kristen Steiner or Krista Val subject areas, they will come to meetings, they will present these to you before we do go ahead and make these purchases. We've talked about them in committees, but they will do a full presentation for the full board. We're continuing our writers' workshop training. Next year will be grades K, 1, and 6. We'll cover all of our elementary grades. It's the third year of that training. To support that, we're continuing to expand our mentored text and our level libraries in all the elementary schools. We're purchasing new textbooks for a number of courses. These are all the e-textbooks. And then a 6-year subscription, so we're paying for the cost this year, but that subscription to the electronic books is for 6-year licenses. Those are for biology, AP environmental, 7th grade social studies, AP world history, algebra 1, algebra 2, geometry, AP calculus, and AP stats. So all the students in all those classes will have updated and much needed updated texts for next year. Again, before we make any adoptions, those all those adoptions will be on a board agenda under the curriculum section, and as I said, Mr. Steiner and Mr. Duval will come and talk to you about the process we went through in choosing each of those materials. Our 6th grade, because of next generation science standards, there's a big distribution of some of the science concepts and what grades they'll be taught in. Geology, meteorology, and astronomy will all move to 6th grade, so the materials and kits of those teachers can teach those courses which were previously in the middle school, those concepts which were previously in the middle school. All those teachers will have the resources they need. Additional resources for our financial literacy and our business courses here in the high school. So that is the instructional part of the budget, which I think is really significant and substantial, and something that I know our whole leadership team and our budget committee is very proud of. From a maintenance standpoint, there are locker upgrades to some old or broken lockers in the middle school, high school. We have some replacement of interior doors throughout the district. Again, it will be a small number. Some of our, I guess, the neediest doors replaced. There'll be asbestos abatement. At this point, we're looking at classrooms in Franklin and office in Long School. And we have new compressors budgeted at Smith Lawn in Washington, which again, the ones that are there are beyond repair. So we'll be purchasing new compressors. And those are the highlights.
Yeah, just to reiterate that the board's job is not to actually do, it's to oversee and help with the planning. So while Rich and Ray did all of the actual hard work of the budget, the board came in the committee for our first meeting and started going line by line through the entire budget to see where all funds were allocated. What they had cut, they had already done one round of cuts by the time we showed up. So we looked at all the cuts they made, everything they had in, and our job is really focused on, one, making sure all the funds are allocated wisely, and two, that they stayed with the district goals. And the two main district goals are student achievement and special education. We reiterated that and made sure that the administration kept all of their cuts and design to follow in those two main broad goals that we want to head towards. And the other thing that the committee really wanted to make sure is that we didn't let facilities go backwards. Not that it was our main concern, but we checked line items and had many discussions on line items, both cuts and what weren't cuts, to make sure that while we're maintaining student achievement in special ed, that we weren't also letting facilities go backwards. That there was enough to actually maintain the space, because the space where the students learn is important to the learning process. We spent 2 meetings going line by line and discussing all aspects of the budget. And then the second 2 meetings, we went over every change that was made in the budget, cuts, additions, changes, rearrangements that they made in order to get from the over $2 million budget to a balanced budget. I have to thank Rich and Ray very much for all of their hard work. They did a fabulous job. And I am very, and I think I speak to the entire committee, very comfortable that they did an excellent job really focusing on driving the student achievement and special ed programs forward strongly. Not even just having them move forward, but strongly pushing them forward with this budget. And we also discussed the long-term effects that the budget was going to have, because it's, you know, although we look at the budget every year, you have to think about how that affects the following year and the year after, which the budget committee did with them. And I think this is a very strong budget. I'm very happy with how much we managed to keep in for student achievement across the board in so many different areas. It's really amazing what they were able to pull off. So I strongly support this budget that they came up with.
Very good, thank you, Mr. Quinn. Any further discussion? We may have a motion to accept the preliminary budget. Roll call, Mr. Crowder.
Mr. Arcomando?
Yes.
Mrs. Borelli?
Yes.
Mr. Buffy?
Yes.
Mr. Quinn?
Yes.
Ms. Sanchez?
Yes.
Mrs. Canipeco?
Yes.
Mrs. Zondarelli? Mr. Garrett?
Yes.
Item number 2, the resolution is, was brought forward by, my association to appeal to the legislators, the governor, and the Commissioner of Education to allow for a capital, adjustment to the budget. You know, capital projects that cost, like we're doing the referendum now, are a lot of money, and to stay within inside the 2% cap is very hard. Luckily this year we're not having to deal with that, but the Buildings and Grounds Committee and the Budget Committee reviewed this resolution and are also recommending that we move forward and approve it and send it down to the governor, legislators, and the Commissioner of Education. So we just need a motion on that one.
Any discussion on the resolution? I have a motion to
Second.
roll call, Mr. Crowder.
Mr. Arcomando?
Yes.
Mrs. Borelli?
Yes.
Mr. Buffy?
Yes.
Mr. Quinn?
Yes.
Ms. Sanchez?
Yes.
Mrs. Canipeco?
Yes.
Mrs. Zondarelli? Mr. Garrett?
Yes. Okay, for number 3, we're going to need a date to approve the 2015-2016 budget.
Again, if you, on my email, it's between April 24th and May 7th. 24th is a Friday, so if we're looking at the following week, I mean, because first, if we try to stick to our Monday and Wednesday meetings, so the first day after is the 20th. Last year, I think we adopted on the 28th, so 27th, we'll throw out 29th.
27th.
That's April.
Excellent for me.
27th of April and March.
How about the 29th?
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 I threw out the 7th. Everybody's doing 7th. We'll stick to the same time.
Was it 27th?
It's 20. We're never going with the 29th.
29th. What day of the week is that?
Right. That should be a Wednesday, right?
Wednesday.
It is.
I'm good on the 29th myself, so.
Sounds like everybody's good for the 29th? All right, so resolution, action will read approve April 29th, 2015 at 7 p.m. Here for the adoption, public hearing adoption of the 2015-2016 school year budget.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, Mr. Crowder.
Mr. Arcomando?
Yes.
Mrs. Borelli?
Yes.
Mr. Buffy? Mr. Quinn?
Yes.
Ms. Sanchez?
Yes.
Mrs. Canipeco?
Yes.
Mrs. Zardarelli?
Yes.
Mr. Gear?
Yes.
Is that the call?
Yes.
Yes. May I have a motion to open the meeting to the public?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Is there any comment? No? Okay, then I won't need to comment. Motion to close the meeting to the public? All in
Second.
favor? Any opposed? Motion to adjourn the meeting?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.